All right, let's see if I got everything right. Looks like it. I got a couple of issues over there, but one of the intros that I was fooling around with must have disappeared or the link got broken. But anyway, what's up, everybody? And so welcome to yet another episode of Archer's Garage, but in particular, I'm calling this one, it's another episode of TESTICLESE. All right, just a regular guy being completely politically incorrect, because that's what I am, and that's what TESTICLESE stands for. A regular guy, blamed for everything, right? The women blame all the men right now. Seems popular these days. The guys are bad, right? White guys are terrible. They're, mansplaining and man cards and toxic masculinity and, all of that stuff. All of which we'll probably cover at some point. But yeah, that's me. I got the t-shirt. Been through it, been down that road. And I'm sure some of you fellas have as well. So just a regular guy, and we're just a bunch of fellas hanging out doing fella stuff, right? And ladies welcome, of course. And anybody's really welcome. But, one thing I don't apologize for is being a guy. Because, that's what I was born as. And I figured I better get used to it because it's going to hopefully be a long road. So that's my nature. And with all the crap going on today and all the stuff, and sometimes I like to get, a little bit into politics, but mostly what I do is machines and technology and cool camera stuff. And, I used to be into cars and all of that, but now I kind of focus more on cool stuff, cool machines, and hopefully everybody out there. I see Christina Marie, there's my daughter. She says, hey, wait, because we do this thing all the time. I'm like, you got to wait. No, you got to wait. All right, you got to wait, D. All right. She just, I told her before I'm going live. She kind of knows. I saw her a minute ago. I went to grab some stuff, and she goes, what are you doing? I said, what do you think I'm doing? I already, you tell them stuff, and they don't care. So toxic white male, right? It's crazy. I don't get it. When I was younger, none of that was ever talked about. And mostly, I think, because it didn't matter, right? Nobody cared what you were as long as you weren't doing something illegal or really highly immoral at that moment in time. No, nobody really cared, and nobody got in your way for the most part. And as long as it didn't result in the destruction of something or the death of something, usually it didn't matter. Suddenly, these days, it's like everything matters. So on the way out, back and forth, I noticed it was like a red sky, really beautiful sunset. You know what they say, red sky at night, sailor's delight. Hopefully, it was a really nice day today. I thought it was nice. I mean, it got nicer. A couple of days of lousy weather. And I guess it was a little cold, but I was still outside doing stuff. Guys stuff. And, I think it's nice to see that sort of beautiful sunset, sailor's delight. What can you do with a drunken sailor, right? So I would probably have a beer, but, I don't generally drink, and I think tomorrow I might have one. So, when you're diabetic, I guess you got to be careful, but that doesn't really stop me from doing a lot of the things I shouldn't be doing. So I wanted to just kind of chat before we get rolling, and again, say hello to everybody, and also a shout out to all you fellas that have been commenting and making me laugh and stuff and giving me really good ideas. Last week I kind of screwed up a little bit because I don't know what we started talking about, but some of you fellas came in and were saying some stuff in the chat, and it was making me laugh, and that's when I went into the whole TESTICLESE thing. And I had a pretty good time. Of course, I was riffing on it, and when I went to actually show that little video of me showing some cool machines out in the yard, especially in, I was digging some stuff out of an area that's just like death row, but I found some cool stuff, and I screwed up, and I'll probably show you guys what I did wrong. I thought it was something wrong with this stuff because, it's still doing live, and doing it like this with this kind of a system is still kind of new to me. And so you can see all the monitors here and the controls and everything. In fact, last week, I guess a day or two after the live stream, this monitor blew out, this one over here. And so it just completely blew out. And I think it was like Monday or so, Monday morning-ish. Started up the machine, everything was going fine, and the next thing I knew was like I went in the house to get some coffee or something, and I came out and I noticed something was different, right? This monitor was dark, and I thought, uh-oh, that's not good. And the little light was on. There's this little light down here, and I don't even see it right now. Like, it should be blue. I can almost see it. It might be the bezel's a little off. And I see, you can't even see the little blue lights there. Well, the blue light indicates that it's working. And like an orange light indicates that it's on. It's like plugged in. And so it was orange and the screen was black. And I thought, oh no. So I pressed the button and the light went off and nothing happened over here. So I was like, oh, great, right? So I was fooling around with a bunch of different monitors, and I drug out a bunch of monitors that were around the house, trying to plug them in, and it just, I mean, this Vizio that's over here that you don't see, that's my confidence monitor. I don't think you can see it. Yeah, it's out of the shot currently, but it's not a very good monitor. It's like right over here to my right in a little spot I have for it. It's known as a confidence monitor because I can actually see what the production is. I can make it to do a number of things, but I can actually see myself and whatever it is I'm putting up, as well as what I see here. I don't have auto zoom, so it's on a manual zoom over there, but this is the YouTube Studio setup window for those of us that actually use it. And I can see what's going on here, but it's in a delay. However, it is working really good tonight. And then on this side, it's actually OBS. So that's my open broadcasting software. So that's what I'm actually connecting everything to and what goes out. And then, of course, the last thing over here is my box, which is what does all the video switching and audio, stuff. So I like to have OBS over here on this monitor. This is really what I'm using to control pretty much almost all of the stream and whatever media I want to put up, and I could select the different monitors, and I set most of that up through here ultimately, and then I can switch between the cameras or whatever else I have as an input on this box over here. So not having that monitor is a problem, especially since now I just set up 4 monitors, and now I'm trying to figure out how to use 4 monitors. There's a couple of cool things I can do, and I also use it for recording in here in the shop/studio. So having it broken was like, oh crap. So I just wanted to show you guys real quick. So I went in there and I fixed it, and just to inspire fellas, some of you fellas out there, that I've been wanting to collect a bunch of monitors. Neighbors throw them out, whatever, and of course my daughter always gives me a hard time. What do you need that for? What are you bringing more junk for? And my friend always says there's going to be roaches in it, which, she's been right. Microwaves and toaster ovens you shouldn't bring in. But, people get, they get it, bugs and spiders and sometimes roaches, and they like to crawl into these things. I mean, I do lawnmowers. I don't even like to bring them in here until they've been washed because of stuff like that. I've had roaches in lawnmowers. All kinds of manner of things live in stuff. So I just have not had the time, or I don't even have the tools anymore to do a lot of electronic stuff. So I figured, well, I really need this monitor. So what I wound up doing was I opened it up, and it's actually not that hard to open up one of these monitors, believe it or not. And I replaced the capacitor that was in there. It's very common for little caps like these. I know there's no real light on it. I should be able to see it. It's a little capacitor. You'll see them in a little bit. I'll run a quick video on it. So 25 volt, 1000 microfarad is a common size, and I used to collect a lot of this stuff. Was into it, so I actually had one, but it was a bigger one. Same thing, out of an audio amp, and a better quality, and capable of handling more current, which is probably why this little guy burned out. But these monitors are old. They were really good monitors when I bought them. Like in 2011, 2012 or something. And they've been so good to me, and they just work so good. They look really good. I mean, I don't know if you can really see it, but they're so crisp. They were gaming monitors, but they have a lot of inputs in the back. And I could plug all kinds of different things into them. And they're matched. So you don't really want something that's not matched. So I plugged this guy in. I had to make a pigtail for it, and I'll show you that in a little bit and test out. Very common power supply capacitors. And like, see, some of these are the big ones. And you can see these big cans, right? Cliff says, Cliff Frankenberg says, there was a bad batch of capacitors in the last 10 years. It probably has been. Because they've been changing the manufacturers, you know, where they've been made. But this is what I use. This is an Elna. And they're still in business. So this is probably, this guy here, this guy is probably old. Oh my God. I might have been in my 20s or something when I glommed this. I have 3 of them, so probably the other 2 will break as well, because they're probably coming to that age when these things start to wear out, the top starts to bulge, and I'll show you that in a minute. So you can fix a lot of stuff. Cliff says, just had one go in my Frigidaire, yeah, gallery fridge. Yeah, actually that came up on Facebook with a few of my friends, and I put up a post of a fridge from like the 1970s, you know, still going. And yeah, my one friend Scotty, who's been in HVAC for a long time since he got out of college, and he bought like a new fridge, and it went a couple of times. And the one that he got, the compressor is a vane compressor, and it runs full time. And what the system does with the solenoids and the valves is it allows it to free spool when it's not calling for refrigeration. And then when it's calling refrigeration, it loads it up, but it's always spinning. Yet it's somehow more efficient, right? Whatever. And another friend of mine mentioned that his fridge went, and another friend of mine mentioned is that why do they have to have computers in them now? The computer board went twice, and this 12 years of really good service. I also bought these used. They were, I think I had 4 of them. I sold one because I'm poor, and you know, when I first got divorced and everything. They were open box and scratch and dent. And Newegg had them, you know, when I was more into computers and buying and selling and doing a lot of cool stuff, and I could afford it, and I was working a lot. So I thought about it. I'm like, well, these are really nice. I better buy up as many as I could afford. And they were like 100 and change. That was like, it was a really insane price. And I thought, well, what the hell? I think I sold the one that had a little, these are LCD, I think. It had one little segment that you could see if when you went to black, when you just put up like different color RGB and black, right? And white. And you look at that and you look to see for any imperfections. And I think when I went black, you could see one tiny little pinprick of red or something like that. That's fine, right? For the price and everything. So I replaced that. In fact, let me show you guys, because I think it's kind of neat before I get started on the rest of the stuff. Let me open up my viewer. And I'll bring it over here. And I'll show you guys what I kind of do. So I just brought up my viewer, and it's over on this monitor, and you can kind of see it. Let me bring up OBS. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch OBS to look at this monitor over here. And so that's why we can look at that. And it's kind of neat. And we'll close you out. So it should be right monitor. All right, and I'll just hit the transition button. So Brett says, welcome Brett, welcome Cliff, everybody else, Jamie. Hey, good way to spend Saturday night beating a hit sausage sandwich and hang out with all. Nice. Yep. Doing good, Brett. Yeah, that's what I figured. You know, guy stuff, right? If you look at the title. Eating a hot sausage, nice. All right, now you're making me hungry. You guys, you know, like I was saying last week, you had me so, you guys, let me move this real quick. You guys had me laughing and fooling around. And I'll show you what I did to screw up. What I did, why it was echoing, was because what I did was I went to I went over here, right? So I went over, opened up a new tab just to check audio. Went over to Arch's Garage, right? Went over to my website. I hit another episode. Hear the echo? Right? I forgot to mute the output, right? So that's why it was this internal loop going on, because, well, this, see? And it was probably, the volume might have been lower, because sometimes I'll do this just to check to make sure that the video is okay, that there's audio. It's a good thing to do. And I can also, it's another way for me to see the chat. So that's what was going on in the background. And normally I would shut it off, just like mute it, but you guys were killing me. So then I got into the whole TESTICLESE thing, and so Fred says DeCarlo's is the best. DeCario's, is it? It's DeCarlo's, yes, is the best. Yeah, we used to have a place around the corner. What's up, TJ? All right, it was Lucchese's, right? And when the guy first opened, I went over there and I said, "Oh, Lucchese's, that's a nice name." And he looked at me, he goes, "Free pizza for you." I said, "Wow, what happened?" He goes, "You're the only guy that's ever come in here. Everybody says Lucchese's. It's not Lucchese's." I know, it says Lucchese's out front. He gave me free pizza. And I was out one night with my friends, and we were in, like, I don't know, Smithtown or something on the North Shore, in a nice place. And we were just out wilding at night, right? You know, nighttime wilding when you're younger with your friends. And we got hungry, so we decided to stop off at the Greek place. So I grew up around. I was employed by a bunch of Greeks and everything. And they wanted to get some gyros, right? So they all walk up and they're talking gyros. You know, it's the lamb that, you know, it's like the lamb that they process, and they like skewer it and it rotates and the flies go all over it, and they just like, whoa, hack off slabs and slices, and they put that on your sandwich with all kinds of sour cream and everything else, and the flies are on it. And so I walk up to the guy, and it was my turn, and I'm like, "I'd like a gyros with this and that." And he went, "Gyros?" He goes, "Are you Greek?" I said, no, I'm not Greek. He goes, no, you Greek. You're the only one that says it right. You're free, you know, for you, right? And everybody's looking at me like, what's with this guy, right? It definitely helps to, like, just understand. Now, not that you have to speak somebody's language, right? It's just that just understand the culture a little bit. Whatever culture's around, just understand them, because then that way, I mean, I didn't do it to get free anything. It just helps to understand where people come from. It's fun. Free gyros, you Greek. So yeah, make people happy, right? And then they'll make you happy. So let me just switch over. I just wanted to show you this. Also, I want to test out desktop audio to make sure that that's not feeding back. So TJ's here as well. Let me see. Now, the problem that I have, by the way, what I need to work out on my own is what I want to be able to do is talk over a video. Even though it doesn't work right, I still want to be able to do that because I'm a big mouth. But I'd like to be able to talk over it. And if I get the volumes right, like if I have the volume of a video that I'm playing, or picture that, not some picture, I mean like a video, because it's going to have an audio. So if I can get the volume of that right and the volume of me right, I can make a comment, or I can say something and then stop the video. All right. And if I can get rid of the echo in between that, I can say something as I'm stopping a video without clicking all of these switches over here and having to mute and unmute and click play. And all right, that's what I'm going to see if I can do tonight, just real quick. All right, so let's just take a look at the desktop. All right, I'm going to transition it. So now you're going to see my player, and that should come up. And I'm just going to kind of wait for it to see if I can see it on the output side. Yeah, all right, good. Now, what happens if I unmute? All right, so I just unmuted the desktop audio, and I'm going to just play rando sample real quick. So this is something I found today. Actually, I found it.
Oh, we got this trash-picked 3-in-1 power station.
Now you guys should be able to hear the both of us without echo.
One of the switches, you could hear the groveliness. Where I live, the kind of dirt that we get in this, if it's anywhere near the ground, is mostly sand and some organic. I tried plugging it in. It's a special plug. and it doesn't do anything. But when I plug it in here,
I think I figured it out too.
and I think this is backfeed because I think this is an output power.
Where do you
for
see the
something.
poor quality
So look, we
of
get
build
something there.
in here?
And I think I got a light or something, and I get it. Yeah, see?
Yeah.
And it's trying to see some kind of voltage. And then back here there's a switch I'll show you. Right, so we
That's
hear
the
the air
air pump.
compressor going. Now I don't think that's right, but the plug itself, that's not doing anything. So I suspect we're backfeeding something.
Yeah,
Like
that's what
standard
it
AC
was.
plug. This could have a fuse or something in it. Anyway,
It
we
doesn't.
gotta look closer.
I checked it. It 120
Because-
volts comes out.
I think what I'm gonna do is we'll take it outside and we'll give it a quick super clean to knock off all of the gack. I suspect this part here is almost a separate piece in a way built onto it. So since it's nice today, I'm going to spend a little bit of time and
Yes,
wash it
happy
off, then
Easter,
we'll take it
Robert, and
apart,
everybody.
maybe rinse it again. I don't know. It depends upon what's in there. And since it's nice, we'll let it dry in the sun and we'll come back and we'll check on it.
All right, let me show you. Let me show you. All right, now I'm going to move this over to the other monitor. All right. So let's see. I'm going to just move it, and I want to see what happens. Okay, now you're going to see this monitor, this is coming up next. We're going to show you some cool motors and stuff that I dug out. And let me go to, let's see. Yeah, we're going to go confidence monitor. All right. Now that's my confidence monitor. I moved everything over to the confidence monitor. And then you should be able to see me. Can you see me? Let me see if I can get me on here. Let's see. I don't know if it's still working. So I just want to test it. Because I may have broken it while I was fooling around. So you can definitely see confidence monitor. And let's see. That's me. All right. Let's see if I show up. Back to confidence monitor. And I'm not getting the picture-in-picture. That's what I wanted to find out. If there's a picture-in-picture. I had it working, but because the monitors died, that one monitor died, I don't know what it's doing now. It should work. It should be able to take an input. But the monitor itself, you could see it works. Right, this is another monitor that I was checking out, right? It's a TV. And it worked. I cleaned it up, but it cannot plug into my system, right? It can plug into the video card, but it cannot plug into anything else. I wonder why the picture-in-picture isn't working. All right, we'll find out in a second. Just another view of it. There's all the controls. Now, here's what I found
Oh, there's a
inside.
spider coming out of it. All right, so we got a really nice big battery here. These are really nice batteries. Hopefully we can charge that. Most common thing is the battery stops charging or a fuse pops or something like that goes on, or the battery just goes dead. The case is a little broken, but this part of the case is for the air pump, which is obviously not necessary. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pull these wires off here. And this is just power wiring, which turns on the compressor. So it's nothing big. We got one power wire here, and I don't know where the other one goes. So let me find out how I can disconnect this, and I'll get you in. And then we're going to try and take off these lugs here. So we'll probably have to pull this out a little bit. Probably have to cut the batteries. I almost guarantee that battery is dead, but we'll go deeper into the case.
Now watch this. All right, that's all broken.
I just cut this wire here. The outer perimeter of the case is all broken. So there's no mounting that back on anytime soon. So again, cut the wire here. I tried measuring with the meter, both plugged in and unplugged, and I'm not seeing any voltage. So there's a good chance that a circuit breaker is, well, probably be a fuse. We're going to try to pull this battery out next.
Now watch this. Look at this.
Well, here's something I found that's pretty pathetic, right? See the rubber insulator, right? This is the heat shrink tubing. It's over this shank here, the ring shank. So it wasn't even making good contact. I mean, that's just bad, right? And that's bad quality control. It's bad manufacturing. But it might have worked for a time, but probably not very well. All right, let me dig deeper.
Watch this.
All right, again, more build quality issues. All right, so just like most of these, they got a wall wart here, which sticks out through the side. And it's just, you're plugging in backwards, right? But this wire here for the wall wart, right, it is not connected there. I just gave it a little tug, and it came right off. And I can see it.
Cold solder joint.
That it was not soldered well. So what I'm going to do is kind of dry this out a little bit more, leave it outside for a little while after I blow it out and pad it out with some tissues. Let this stuff dry out in the wind. I got other things to do. Okay, we'll come back when it's drier. We'll lift this board up. We'll do some more inspections. We'll check everything. And while we're doing that, I put on a wall wart style charger. This is a battery charger slash battery tender. It didn't work. And it should charge this battery.
It didn't.
If it doesn't, I'll try a different charger to push more power in. In fact, I might even just try this charger to start off with, just to get more power in, because it's been dead for a while. You just have to go slow, because they are kind of...
Yeah, it didn't work. Cliff says, no stress relief on the wire. Yeah, and just it wasn't... It was all tied up, right? All kind of tied up. And, here, let me bring this back. Let me bring me back. It was all kind of like tied up with a tie wrap, wrapped up. There was no strain relief. It wasn't even soldered right. It's a cold solder joint. So that's a problem. And this is the kind of build quality that between the insulator of that, for that wire, right, that heat shrink, just, you know, on that lug, that's a big problem, because that's your current, right there. That should be positive coming straight off the battery, and it goes over to that area there are those lugs, that distribution block, and then over to the clamp on the positive side. It's no wonder why this thing died. Now, that battery and that battery charger, the big charger that I made, I was putting it on, I had it on later that day, like sometime a little bit after that. I shot that today while I was working in and out of the shop. And what happens when these batteries get too discharged is the resistance goes sky high. So there's like, when you put the leads on for the charger, there's nobody home, right? It's like a wide open, like nothing is connected. But if you can push like 10 amps from that battery charger that I made, which has no electronics in it, it's just diodes and a capacitor. A capacitor actually similar to this one. I think it's got 2 of them in it that I put in there, and a big rectifier, full wave. So if I push like 10 amps into it for several hours, what'll happen is the resistance will start to come down. And it started off with 0.02 volts. I got it up to 0.012 volts. And you can kind of hear it. There's a fan on that big charger, and when you lift it off, you can kind of hear it. Let me see if I can show you. Oh, look, there is... So all of a sudden now I actually have... What did I do wrong? I have me, and I have that picture-in-picture, which is what I wanted. All right. So what happens if I go back to here? All right. Oh, it disappeared. Oh, wait. It disappeared. Did it disappear because I didn't set it right? It shouldn't have disappeared. It's probably because I moved all the monitors. That's why. I see it, though. I see it. I don't see it on that monitor. I see it over here. Yeah, I see it over here. Quality is a thing of the past unless you are willing to pay for the top of the line, and then no guarantees, Cliff says, right? Yeah. So I actually see it. I actually see picture-in-picture. That's kind of what I want. But I used to see it over here. I gotta have to test that some more, so I'm doing a little bit of testing. Let me move forward. That's the other machine I'm working on. This thing. kind of getting there with it. Yeah, here it is.
All right, so this is the big power supply charger that I made, and it's pushing over at least 10 amps in. What happens is the resistance on the battery goes so high that there's really no connection when they're really discharged like this. I measured it, it was like 0.02 volts.
Happy Easter, brother.
It's now, I think it's now about 0.011 or maybe 12. Listen real close. I'm going to pull the lead off. When some charge starts to build up, the connection starts to come back through the electrolyte, through the plates. And once that starts to happen, when it gets to be about 1 or 2 volts, you'll really hit a difference. That's when it'll try to take a charge. But first you have to break down that resistance. Listen. You can hear the fan change. It's probably still very low. I'm only doing this while I'm here. And it's been a while, right? There's no heat in it because we're not really passing any current yet because the resistance is so high. There's really very little going in there. You will never be able to get any battery that has been dead for a while charged with a conventional charger because it won't even recognize that the impedance would be too high or the resistance.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else? Just that. Just that. Let me just see. I don't think there's anything else on this one.
I think it hit me. So I just kind of puked it over to here. I like to put the plug in.
That.
And
all right, let me bring this back here. So, yeah, so let's see. I just want to see. All right. So now I have picture-in-picture over here. That's weird because I'll have to sort that out. But picture-in-picture is kind of working. That's another thing I'm working on. But again, I got screwed up because the monitor fried and I had to spend a day fooling with that and a day with other things. And then I got really tired and, you know, welcome to the world. So quality control, by the way, I want to kind of do a video soon. I keep saying these things, but I'll get to it on these electric things with the batteries and everything. Let me bring up the chat box again. Close you out. Let's see. Yeah, so I can keep up. Let's see. Cliff says, I have one in my basement that I never use and haven't charged in over 10 years. It's not garbage. That the batteries can be had fairly inexpensive. Fairly, right? Maybe now before things get worse. Those are generally considered to be very good batteries. I also have down here, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can't see it, but down here is a UPS. It's a sine wave UPS, and it's an old school one. The one I used to have similar to it was an inverter, and it burned out, and I didn't have a schematic for it, and this was all, you know, everything happens at once, you know, during divorce and me dying, and so I kind of threw it out. I shouldn't have, but this one here, I've actually repaired it once. It's got a gigantic transformer in it, big transformer. It's all copper. And the circuitry is fairly simple. It's a basic power supply. So it takes 120 volts from the mains, runs it through the batteries and everything that are in there. And those batteries are similar to the one that you just saw, right? There's just a couple more of them and they're a little bit smaller. And the batteries are dying. So it's not reliable now. It will complain and then it can shut off and it doesn't do its job. So that I want to get some new batteries for and rebattery it. I guess about every 5 or 6 years or so, a device like that would need batteries. These are very good batteries. They're very stable. They don't last forever. They just don't. But they don't catch on fire, right? And one of the reasons why, I do want to get into it, but there's issues to why these things will never really be popular, or let's put it this way, they won't work in the future. But just to give you an idea of like the kind of batteries that are in like Teslas and stuff, they're like this size battery, right? This is much bigger than like a double A. But this is like hundreds and hundreds. Can you imagine the point of failure, right? Whenever you making something complex in the engineering world is a recipe for disaster, because first of all, those of us that has taken apart a lawnmower know how many, like 1,000 pieces are in a lawnmower. a car, I've done a lot of cars, and you need a lot of room because when you take a car apart, it's like thousands and thousands of pieces, and they're big and they're all over the place. And what you're doing when you're trying to manufacture something, right? You wanna have it streamlined down to a point where it is sturdy, it is going to be reliable. Maybe it could be easy to repair. You can take it apart. This is your wish list. And then of course the bean counters come in and they go, no, 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 right? Either they say we don't want you to repair it, or forget it. The designers come in and put this thing somewhere you'll never be able to get at it, right? There's that one commercial I saw. What's her name? She was like Lorraine or Elaine from Seinfeld, where she gets into this car and it's like all batteries, and she pushes the button for like the quick dispenser to eject the batteries, right, that are no good, and she presses the button and batteries start shooting out all over the floor, right, for quick battery change, and they just shoot out all over and they're spraying out. Yeah, I mean, how many points of failure can you possibly engineer into something and then charge $60,000 for it? And you can't bring it just anywhere. Oh, by the way, did I mention that it's dangerous, right? And God help you, it's worse than planned obsolescence. It's planned failure, right? It just is no way that technology can ever work. What I want to get into in a video I want to make is the politics of it. Ultimately, it's the politics that is going to put a stop to it. And we already see this starting to happen in the UK with the 15-minute cities and everything. The politics won't work. They won't be able to get it right because politicians don't have no idea what's going on. He says, keep the service guys in business. Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, for a battery vehicle or anything battery operated, there is no service guy. Like a battery operated lawnmower. There is no job for those people. There's no such thing as servicing a battery operated lawnmower. Maybe if a wheel fell off, sharpen a blade, but there's nothing that you could establish a business on as like a core business. Because if the battery pack goes, let's just say it goes, right? The engine probably, the motor probably won't go, but the battery pack goes, the customer can just order another one and pop it in, right? Is anybody going to be really doing anything with it other than that? No, of course not. But the vehicles, they're too complicated to repair. And a lot of us know this. Anybody that's ever worked on an old car from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, even in the 80s, you can get in there and you can see a lot of stuff and you get in, there's room to work. But if you try to get into some of these things that are more modern, they're way too complex for the average person, even a good backyard mechanic to even attempt to work on. And then you have to have not only an electrical degree, but an electronics degree, but you have to have an engineering degree, and you have to be able to have a programming degree because ultimately the computer is involved in it. So it's too complicated. And the other problem is the battery. Not just that it can be unstable, but you could make a battery that's stable. And the example is the batteries that are down here, they died, they didn't go on fire. The battery over there didn't go on fire, but they get bigger. And when you have to put hundreds of these in a car to make a car go for only 100 and something miles, when a gasoline car can travel for hundreds of miles and be refueled in less than 15 minutes, not an hour and 45 minutes. The problem is this, right? This carries all of the energy that is required to drive the thing. In this case, it's a flashlight it came out of. A gasoline-powered or diesel-powered car does not carry all the energy is required to burn the fuel or to provide the energy. It only we'll just use a round number. It only carries half of the energy required. The other half comes from the air, which is an abundant resource for now, and they're going to start charging us for it, carbon tax. So it gets the other part of its energy. It doesn't have to carry it. Whereas a battery-powered thing, you have to carry both equal parts. You have to carry everything you need to provide the energy on demand. Diesel and gasoline-powered vehicle doesn't do that. It only has to carry the one part. And if it's diesel, it's really safe because diesel's hard to catch on fire. Gasoline can be difficult too, depending upon the situation it's in. All right, if it's really hot and you you get it into the air in the form of a mist, then it's more unstable. But a car fire requires about 200 gallons of water to quench, and it can sometimes even be done with a portable fire extinguisher that you can carry in your car or somebody else might have. A battery fire in a car requires up to like around 30,000 gallons or more, and they often relight later on while you're trying to trail it away. And you can't service it really, because when the batteries become unstable, where are you going to go? Where's a safe place to go? How many mechanics are going to have a cordoned off area where they can take a car, bring it into that safe zone that's a blast radius, like a bunker for people that work on explosives and do explosive testing, that they can go in and that they can carefully remove the battery? What's the insurance like on that, right? For that technician that's going to do that, pull out a battery and replace it. That's potentially unstable, right? If it gets wet, if it's in a flood, it's very unstable. It's a bomb. And it's not just a bomb to explode. It shoots out jets of high pressure flame worse than a cutting torch. It'd be like getting hit with a gigantic plasma cutter. It'll rip a person in half. You know, the insurance companies at some point, not even the politicians, at some point with all the fires, the insurance companies will say, we don't want them. We're not going to cover it. Or we'll cover it, but the insurance rates will be too high. So your insurance rates will be really high. The cost of the vehicles will be astronomical. The repairs when you need a battery is extremely expensive. At some point, they know this. The politicians know this. And ultimately, they're betting on that, right? Because they don't want you to have cars. So I won't say any more on that. I want to get to the next one. We'll get to that another day. I just wanted to show you real quick this other piece here before we move to the next thing. So yeah, I'm still trying to work out a few little issues. So let me see, where am I? What did I do with it? What was I doing? I was playing around with it the other day. Yeah, here it is. I think this is it. Yeah.
So here's something interesting. Here's an old Elna, 25 volt, 1000 microfarad, right? It's just bigger. And I have a bunch of these. I have 3 of them, so I could fix my monitors. What we could do is solder pigtails on them and then test it and see if the monitor comes back on. And if it does, right, at least we'll know, because you'll get a power switch here. So we'll have to solder this in and then screw it back down so it's grounded, blow everything off, and put a dab of hot glue over in this area. And that way it would work fine. And it's a good way to test it for sure. So I'm going to give that a shot. Let me heat up my soldering iron. I'll get to it in a bit. I'm not showing all the work because I'm all verklempt here today. But we're soldered on here. So it's more, you know, as near as I can tell, I don't have the tools I used to have. But I used my magnifying glass there, and I got another one around here somewhere. So we'll flip this over. Okay, and we'll reinstall it. I did blow it out, and I think we're okay. So you see here, I just want to make sure this is okay. All I did was just a little bit of hot glue. We don't need a lot. And you see, I just made a pigtail. Okay, and it goes right over there, and we know where the positive and negative is. All right, and let me flip it over. Everything looks fine. Let me just wipe out in here a little bit. Flip it over, screw it in, and then we'll plug it in just to see if the power supply starts up, because it really doesn't need a monitor, I don't think. I don't see why it would. And of course, we took out the offending piece.
You can see the bulge.
You could see how it's bulging. Right, now there might be others on their way out. I tested this capacitor just with my ohm meter, back and forth, right, in the beep section, one side to the other. It'll beep and then stop. And then flip the leads, and then it'll beep and stop. That's all I can do.
It's charging
I don't have
up.
the capacitor tester now, so
yeah, it fried my good
should be
meter.
all right. Now that one looks like it might have gotten a little hot. It could have taken out this rectifier here, but it's a switching transistor. But I don't see anything else wrong with it. Let's give it a shot.
All right, let me just cruise through it. I think that wait. Yeah, I just kind of like plugged it in remote.
You see that?
See, it's got a light on now.
So that light is on. Now, if we had the monitor in, it would fire. It should fire, and we should.
Yeah, it would fire. This is the LCD screen, I think, is what it is.
Painters. This whole thing.
I was just kind of cleaning it
so
off.
to speak.
Flat panel. It's a nice piece.
Now,
It really
these
is.
are very tight bezel.
It's all self-contained.
Might be in the.
There's the bezel. And you kind of have to hold it up like this, right? You kind of have to hold it at the same time.
It's like a little banjo
plug
blade.
the wires in.
Thing properly.
But it snaps together.
All right, power plug is in, and I just saw it. So it's pressed on.
It says
Let me
Asus.
discombobulate it and just shut it off.
Yeah, so I was just testing it.
Now my model might be a little bit different than yours, so we're all clean.
And then finally I tested it and
so that's back up.
finished for the night.
All right, I actually took it back apart again because I didn't think it was working. So once you do it once, right, it flies.
So I bet you that most of these. See, I shouldn't see that right now. Do I see that over here? No, I don't see. Probably most of these flat panel monitors that people throw out, 44 inches or whatever, some of these things are expensive. I'm willing to bet. I'm going to start taking them home and fooling around with them and fixing them, and I'll keep what I want and sell off the rest. I mean, these parts are cheap. I was looking online, and I'll put together a little video and I'll put it out there for anybody that's interested. But Elna still makes the capacitor that I used, and the better capacitors are maybe, I don't know, a few dollars a piece. It costs you more in shipping. And you could buy them by like packs of 4 or 100 or whatever, and most of them are the same size, so it's not an issue. So Cliff says, yeah, they're doing that in China. Yeah, the unplanned disaster, DeWalt, right? But like the DeWalt machine, it's the same problem. And then once it's on fire, you can't put it out. And you might say, well, it's teething problems, but it's not. It's not just teething problems. If you were to make this battery safer, let's say this battery was this size, but it wasn't very safe. If you were to make it safer, it would cost a lot more money. Think about how much a Tesla costs. Now, some of the other cheaper, vehicles, they're maybe $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. To come up with the science or the build quality to make it really safe, it's going to increase the price. Now, I think a Tesla has a lot of issues, but they're like $100,000. And one of the things they have is a titanium cage that goes around their battery pack. All right, you got to pay for that. And they still have problems, not as much as some of the other manufacturers, but they still go up. And you can't park it anywhere near anything. My friend lives in a nice area in Carolina, and his neighbor has 2 of them. And the insurance company for the house said you can't park it in the garage, and they have to be like 20 feet away from each other. So you have to have enough room in your driveway so that you can park it away from the house by a specified amount as per the insurance company, and possibly the town and the village and whatever else and the county, right? And then the cars themselves, because they're his and her, they have to be parked away from each other by a specified amount. And of course, the average person living in certain areas like cities, forget it. They won't. With the 15-minute cities, they're not even going to allow cars, right? So there you go, right? So that says, TJ says, hey, John, I have a Vizio that needs fixing. Yeah, this one right here that you can't see is a Vizio. Yeah, it can be fixed. I think it needs LED strips. Oh, okay. So yeah, that's a different problem, right? But it might need the backlighting or whatever. It depends upon what's wrong with it, right? If it does, like mine did not come on at all, so it was a power supply issue. It's not the driver board. If you look on that video, I was playing with the power supply board. Next to it that I didn't touch is the driver board, and that's a different thing. When you start to get into the driver board, you're starting to talk about different things, and you have to make sure that the values of the components that you're replacing are absolutely correct. You can't really do what I did because they operate on frequencies and they have to be matched components. But generally speaking, if a capacitor blows on a power supply side, if you up the size of the capacitor, that's usually considered to be better. So it might just need, maybe it needs just the LED. What does it do? Does it like come on and doesn't look right? That could be one of the symptoms. Let me glom my, I got one of these muffins. So anyway, I wanted to show you guys some other stuff whilst I'm here. So some of this stuff is very repairable. The nice thing about getting it out of the trash is if you screw it up, you can throw it back in the trash. You know, it says it comes on, just parts of it TV faded. Yeah, that could be the driver board, and or it could be the driver board is going, and that is another issue. Or it could even be the panel itself is starting to go, and I'd have to look into how that would be handled. But I don't have all of the tools that I used to have, so when you start fixing stuff like this, you have to kind of get into the tools, just like anything else. It comes down to that. If you want to work on something, some of it is knowledge, but some of it is tools. Like, I don't even have like all of the spudgers. I used, I don't think I showed it. I might have. Yeah, I think I showed it. I used the trim tools. They're plastic trim tools for working on automotive. And I have some that are plastic because they're useful, right? They don't scratch, they don't mar. Let me show you the next thing here. I wanted to get to this. Let me set this up because I was playing around with some cool stuff. Let me just turn it on.
All right, fellas.
Let's see. You might want to move it to here. Let me move you. All right, let me move this out of the way. So setting it up like this is kind of fun because this actually, you're seeing a lot of this on my fourth monitor, which is a Vizio. And it allows me to just drag, since that monitor, I can just hit that control on my desk and that monitor is always active and it will override whatever I'm doing. I just have to hit the button. So check out this thing I got to work on real quick.
All right, fellas. Customer's just here. Cool guy. There's a whole story behind that one. The local shop working on another machine he has, and hopefully he gets it all fixed. But he dropped this one off, so we're gonna clean this tomorrow.
Definitely a bulging cap.
While I'm out here, and he let it run out of fuel. And then last year, and it really won't run, but it runs with a bit of starting fluid, he says. And I pulled it over, it seems like it's fine. We're going to give it a light wash. I don't want to wash it too heavy because we don't want the paint to flake off. The underside we're going to hit with the pressure washer, but up top I think we're just going to like light rinse it, get it degreased, a little bit of SuperClean on it. We'll do that tomorrow because I'm out in the yard straightening up and I'm putting a whole bunch of machines aside for washing and parting because my buddy Juan's coming sometime next week or something, so he's been alerted and I want to get it running. It's in good shape, so probably a carb cleaning. We'll clean the tank out. My best guess would be we'll get everything cleaned up and we'll get it running again for him.
Now isn't that a nice little lawn boy? I'm thinking from the 80s. And yes, Cliff says any electronic device failure with a printed circuit board, assuming you're getting power, the first thing I'd look for is a bulging capacitor. Yeah, that is like standard rule of operating procedure, rule of thumb. SOP, standard operating procedure. So that's an easy fix. But like I said, if it gets into the driver board or something, or if the screen is going bad, this is the kind of stuff that is a little bit beyond me right now because I don't have the tools to look into that. You can get the schematics and stuff online, so that's usually not an issue. All right. Let's see. Brett says Lawn Boy L series. Yeah, isn't they nice? They are nice. So I got to work on it and I got to fix it, and I'm going to be releasing that video. I don't know, maybe a week or something like that. So that was pretty cool. I had a lot of fun with it. It's still here. He hasn't paid me yet for it. He he came here because I was selling a machine, and usually I put in my ad somewhere, usually like a link to Archer's Garage, and then I also say, you know, I give like a discount if you trade in an old machine. So he wasn't happy because he went around the corner to Loper's, and he was upset because the guy looked at him to fix his machine. I don't remember what he said it was. It was $85 for a tune-up. 84 and change, $85. And all that consisted of was a spark plug, an air filter. He didn't mention anything about the blade and oil. And he was like, the guy looked me right in the eye. I said, well, to be fair, time out, right? I'm like, well, the government takes like 30% of that, right? And then he works at a shop, so they have to be billing, you know, at least $40 to $60 an hour, I would imagine, right? And the shop is brick and mortar, so you have all of that to deal with. And of course, now they don't just do lawnmower repairs, they're a rental and they do big equipment and other stuff. But that's what you're up against. And he was like feeling like a ripoff. Sometimes I put in my ad, I'll put the cost of a simple tune-up in reference to what I'm selling the machine for. And my catchphrase is, you know, for a little bit more than the cost of a tune-up on your machine, right? You get the whole machine. But keep in mind, a tune-up is not a repair. So if your machine is not running when you bring your machine in for a tune-up, it's not a tune-up, it's a repair. So for a little bit more money, you get an entire machine, and that is for a lot of my, not all of them, but a lot of my machines, that's exactly how it works out. So that's often how I sell it and how I do it. That's how I price it. Of course, it's often more than, you know, $80 or whatever it is, but still, if you think about it, right, once you get into a repair, you're going to be at $150, $160, and the tune-up is in there, but nobody cleans it. Nobody cleans out the gas tank. Nobody makes them look, you know, I like to make them look nice. Maybe you guys do, but I like to make them look nice up here, and I don't know of anybody that does that. You know, I think Pate does it, but he's all the way on the other end of the island, and he gets way too much for his stuff. He's selling it to people that I guess don't know what money is, right? You know, down here where I am, no. People are in pain when they go to have to pay for something. Let me get to the next piece here. Let's see what's up next. Let's see. This is the garden.
So also what's coming up next is these guys.
So these guys, typical.
So this one is mine and Mike, and that one is mine.
Mine.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what to do. Let me keep going. I just wanted to show you. See, these.
This is crap.
Are the ones that crack. There. And there, and that'll fold up like a pretzel. And I think I actually have a pic of one that did that. They don't last at all. You see here, this one here is a Mastercraft. Unfortunately, it does not have reverse. The one I had for a while back had reverse. It was a Sears. I wish I didn't sell it.
That was nice.
But, you know, you need money. Notice the configuration of it. Lawn Chief. I know, I'm getting in your light. Arch, you're getting in my light. I know, fellas. All right, I'm tired. I'm cranky. You know, let's go over here. It's at the end of the day. I'm getting old. Yeah, check this out. So here's something that I like to do. No, not this thing. That was like one of the first ones I got. I don't know, did a deal. Guy thought he had gold. What do you see? Right? Arch, why am I looking at a piece of crap? Listen, fellas, it's not just a piece of crap, okay? It's a piece of crap that happens to be here. It's all beat up. It's a mess. But it is that over there. It's the same damn thing, except this is smaller. It has a Takumi motor on it.
No, Arch, it's not the same thing. Right? It's a piece of crap.
What that is, I guess? Is that a Takumi motor? I don't know. Looks like one, kinda. Looks like a little motor, right? Looks like that motor. No? I think it looks like that motor. That one got electric start, which you don't need. But, I don't know, that one might work. This is dead, right? The wheels are broken. So I'll probably give like Mike $10 or something just for the motor. So my thinking is, you know, he dropped it off, right? We'll do is we'll take the motor off of it. I have these motors, but we'll take this motor off. And then we'll put the motor on here. and we'll get it going. Everything else seems to be going. It's just like benty up, and look, this one has the cutout for a throttle, which I probably have. This has been borked. We'll fix that. And it is missing the bar down there, the dredger bar, whatever they call that, the drag bar, but I'm sure there's something around. I think the tranny works. Watch its beat. Look at the thing, right? Throw it out. What are you doing? Listen, okay, I'm broke. I don't have any money. Can we get that apart? Maybe. You know, we'll know when we clean it off. I'll clean it off and see if the transmission's any good. It might be garbage, okay? But it might not be. These things are made to live in hell. That's just where they live. You should take care of them and all.
Right.
But, you know, usually with stuff like that, the torch does a good job. But, you know, you don't want to get too close to the transmission. Do you really need to take all that off? No. I don't know. We'll see. Just figure playing around. And if I clean it up real quick, I'll drop a little oil on it. I'll hit it with the hammer. And if it starts to move, you know, I'll play around with it. We'll see what it does. I'll look at it tomorrow. I'll probably look at it in a minute after I put this camera down. But this is the kind of thing that's an easy job, because you could just take that motor off, bolt it on this rusty hunk of junk, slappy that on there, because it works. Hey, look. We actually have... Okay. And then,
it's
is this any good? Yeah, this is fine. And I keep some of those, too. I usually blammo them off other machines. Probably blammo an extra one off of this machine, too.
I did.
This is the idler pulleys. They go bad. And whenever you find them, blammo them off and throw them in a bucket or something and draw. You know? The more
you're
stuff
welcome,
you get
Brad.
for the money.
I mean, TJ.
Okay, the more stuff you get for the money. What is a Jacobson super bagger, you say?
Oh, check this out. Check this thing out. You're welcome, TJ.
Look at that handle. Look at this thing. That's aluminum. Look at this handle. Look at, you can sit in it, push your kids around in it. No, that would not be a good idea. I have the bag. Let me undress it of these leaves. Let me free it up of these leaves a bit. Look, it's like a 3.5 horse. That looks like fun, right? Old school. Look at that aluminum deck. The wheels are decent, right? Yeah, let me defoul it real quick with a brush, and then we'll see. It'll come back. I don't want to get this stuff kicking up on the camera. It had shit, you know, crap on it, like actual shit. I don't know what it was from. Probably, I don't know, raccoons or whatever. Hopefully not human. What do you think?
Yeah, right?
That's not
right,
terrible.
Right? Look at this thing.
Look at the deck.
Look at the deck.
Look at how narrow it gets there. Hold on, I'm in your light. Oh, get out. I'm trying. Look at that. Look at how, like, that's like 1.5 inches, 2 inches, maybe 3 on this side. Like, it squeezes it down. And look at the blade is okay. Yeah, you're going to get that blade. Yeah, you'll find that blade.
Right.
Good thing it's in nice shape. Wow. Let's take a look at the top. This would be fun to just kind of get it running. I'll give it back to Mikey if he wants it.
Yeah, Mikey found that for me. Mikey! He's
give
probably
it like
out
a quick
wilding.
wash.
He's young.
And, you know, take some of the tops off and whatever. And I think it pulled over. I think it got gacked. I remember we were fooling with it. Uh-oh. It might be seized. Yeah. I'll see if I can spin the blade over.
I kind of remember something like this when I was really young.
Can we grab it? Uh-oh. No, it kind of wants to move. Yeah, wait. Okay, she just stuck. She could just be cranky. You know? I mean, if you were like that, you'd be cranky. And look, here's the bag. It has bag. The bag is even in nice shape. Uh-oh. Made a mess. I forgot. The oil spills out all over when you do that. It's all intercarbolated now. Okay. Well, we'll have to come back to that. All right, here's...
Now, what I want, right, is if I want the hand crank, right? I check it for ticks. Yeah, that's why I wash everything, not just ticks. I still have some, it's either poison sumac or ivy or something. It's on my legs, down by my ankles. It just gets on your feet. It gets on your hands, right? It, got on my socks. And the doc gave me, what did he give me? He gave me something up here. It's up here somewhere, a tube or something. Yeah. Steroid cream or whatever, and I've been putting this on, and it's finally going away. But I had it like a couple of years ago. I had it on my hands. I've had it a few times, so now I've got some, and I get another script. That's why I wash everything. It's not just the bugs; it's the sumac, the poison ivy, the poison oak, right? Yeah, hydrocortisone, Christina. Thank you, T. There's my daughter. She's was studying to be a pharmacist. Now she's working for a doctor, and she doesn't understand why. She doesn't like to draw blood and do EKGs, and, where you got to shave hairy guys and, they put all the things on and everything. So I'm laughing, but she's a hard worker, the love of my life right there. There's my daughter. I know. She knows all the big words. So I've got that now, and it's important because the ticks is one thing here is Lyme disease, right? We invented it, right? Because we did that. We made that over here. Yeah, we did. We made that over on Plum Island where they, gain of function and modifying animals and stuff, right? Yeah, we started that right over here on Plum Island. So, yeah, you don't want that, right? Because then you'll have Epstein-Barr syndrome, and you'll have all, Lyme syndrome and all that stuff. See, Brett says, I'm recovering from Bell's palsy right now from Lyme disease. Yep, saw the doctor Wednesday and said I'm improving. Good, Brett. It's good to hear. That's a problem, yeah. Lyme will make you'll have chronic fatigue. It probably, some people don't get anything, but if you see that bite and it gets that half dollar, whatever. So that's another reason why I don't bring any. So let me back up a little bit. So I don't do service in tuna per se. That's not the shop I have. That's not what I do. I pretty much do what I show you on YouTube. I won't take a job if I don't do carburetor cleanie where like I did with the Jacobson where I just brushed it off. There are service mechanics that will take that lawnmower in their shop, brush that crap and the human feces out of the way enough to drop the bowl, spritz it, put the bowl back and change the oil and charge $85. I won't do that, right? Yeah, she's cranky. Yeah, that lawnmower was cranky. So I won't do that because of a lot of reasons, right? I mean, first of all, it's not a very good job. You're charging a lot of money. And then there's the factor that the insects, the potential, ticks. I had a tick on me last year. It was down there, right? Because like an idiot, I was out in the yard. It was really hot, and I was just wearing shorts, all sexy and commando, right? And that was a mistake because they're just going to go right on you, and it's a bad way to go. Fortunately, where I live, we don't have chiggers and stuff like that. We do, but it's not as bad as like down south or in Carolinas or whatever. It's a bad way to go. Anyway, I wanted to get back. I'm glad, Brett, you're doing better. Keep me posted on that. Was it Brett? Who was it? I get, yeah, Brett. Because I have no brain. What I want is for especially like a lawnmower like that, and I mentioned this to Mikey if you come across it, I want the hand crank. Right? Where you just crank it around, you fold the handle over, you press the button, right? I love that. Terrell had one recently, and I don't think he didn't like it. I like it, right? Because I want one lawnmower with that on it, and that would probably be a perfect candidate for something like that. I definitely want that. Because when I was a kid, like very young, I remember those things. You cranked it up till it stopped, you fold the handle over, you press the button, and it swung the motor around, and if everything was good to go, it started. And so why wouldn't you want that? I think that's an awesome thing. Let's see what else I got. Right, that would be perfect. Now, these are the two. Check this out. Let's see. So Bob says, my grandfather had one of those twist cranks. Yeah, that's just, I love those things.
The genital twins.
Wait, let me back that up. Wait.
No, it's just not how you say it. I mean, twins.
Let's see. I gotta scroll it. The monitor's a little far away.
Here's the genital twins. No, it's just not how you say it. I don't know.
The genital
This
twin.
one, the Ninja. This is says Ninja.
Check this out.
Recycling mulcha.
Mulcha.
Right? It's just
with
got
an
the
A-H.
throw up chute on the side,
No
so
more.
it can't mulch. This says exclusive signature series, 5.5 horsepower, FP Stratton something with a G. Signature. Somebody signed that. Some guy named Stratton. Wonder who that is. Right? It's a little jammed. Right? This is the old school. This is what I used to use, right? With the transmission back there. The awesome like car transmission. But I see that thing might be seized back in there.
That pulley.
But we'll just steal one from something else. I think what we'll do is we'll blow it off. This is what I used even when I first got to this property, until I blew a hole through the last snapper I had.
Yeah.
But that's what I used for years after the Lawn Boys. So what we'll do is we'll just rinse it quick, and then I'll blow oil all over everything and leave it around, because it might be something that I want to use after we fix it, put it on a channel. Maybe I want a snapper again, just for kind of noodling around. This has got the Quantum.
Quantum. With
So,
a bag.
With the bag.
It's a push though.
Right? And the easy pull
There's no tranny on it.
thing. Push. Okay? No tranny. But it's got a bag. I think we'll sell this one. Because, I can't be pushing things anymore. I'm old. It's in nice shape. I definitely think we'll see if it... I mean, it's jammed up, but there's like one cable on it. So, we'll get a cable going for it. Get it cleaned up.
super easy to
Last
fix.
forever. I'll try pulling it, but I don't know. The blade is fine. This one's got a killer blade on it. The decks are good on both of these. These are both steel decks. And they don't even really need paint or anything, really. So, like, this is one to sell because it has a bag and it says snapper on it. Somebody will want it.
Day 3.
I just dug this one out of the shed. So this is the one that's on the channel.
Now, I think that's pretty cool, right? That signature series, that's kind of unique. That's a little bit different. I might even keep that one, but we'll see. That's what I used to use a lot of snappers. And like I mentioned, after the Lawn Boys, I was into Lawn Boys for a while. I did have a bunch of Jacobsons my father had. I don't remember them very well, but I used, those snappers for a long time. Now that old one with the bag, it's actually in really nice shape. All of this stuff is what I dug out of the dead zone, right? The death row area that's been sitting for years, and I'm like, oh, I got to get back there, because I knew there was a few good, interesting things back there. Plus, I went through everything else in the yard too, as I think I showed 2 weeks ago, a little bit of that. So big spring clean and going through stuff and parting out stuff, and as you'll see coming up. But snappers are nice, and even on like the channel like mine, I'm a small channel, but something like doing like a snapper, it's not big views, but it's good views, and it's people that are interested in the stuff that, like a lot of the stuff that we're interested in. And I don't want just views on how-tos. Yeah, there's more money in that. You're going to get more views, all of that. I want also stuff that guys, like us that are into kind of neat stuff, remember some of the stuff. Snappers, I think, are just good machines. I mean, look at them, okay? The one with the older motor on it, that motor's been around forever. Those are really good motors. And I can almost guarantee we'll get those things running, right? Physically, they're in very good shape. So one of them, I like, well, rear drive is, I'm not a huge fan of. I've been using them for years, and I still use one on my Honda. I do like front drive because they're easier to maintain, they're easier to fix. All right. But the rear drives, I'm used to using them. I do like them. I'm not saying I don't. Snappers are very good at it. I like the transmission. It's a snowblower transmission, right? It's what it is. So it's that Snapper used it on their big riding machines. Same kind of transmission. It works decent. You get everything nice and clean and working right. And it's just a simple mechanism. Let's keep going. Let's see what else I got. I wonder how old that thing is. So this is one from the channel that I did already, and I use this now for grinding. And I did the valves and everything else on. The motor's done. It's really kind of tired, and it does use some oil and blow some smoke. But I wanted to show that we could sort of bring this old commercial version back. And it is kind of really neat. Everything works okay. I think I have some issues with this over here, right? It's got some issues with it, but we need a better cable for sure. But it may become something different. I'll get to you guys in a minute. So that's why I'm showing it to you now. But I'm going to use it today. We use it to grind. This is my garden grinder. I use it like rough duty. Got a really heavy blade on it and everything. And I think it will burn up this motor. And just toss it into the mix, right? It's another mower for grinding up, you know, all of the leaves and debris and sticks. And because the blade is such a beefy blade, and I just have it set to mulch. So let me get started on that. And I just wanted to show you, right? See? I wanted to show you that. See, these wheels, they all have grease fittings on them. So, yeah. And you can see all the extra stuff they put on it. Really kind of neat. Just, you know, they're all just guards. And then there's no plastic. Oh, lunchtime, gotta go. All right, let's do. All right. So, I'll get to you guys in a minute. So, get back to that. First, I want to give a shout out to my daughter, right? Talking about my daughter a minute ago. So look what she gave me, right? She said it came with something for her eyes to wash mascara, something. I'm like, you're gonna poke your eye out with that. What are you talking about? Don't use that. So she gave it to me earlier because she was cleaning up. I don't know what she's doing upstairs, cleaning up everything. You know, suddenly my room gets cleaned too, which is nice. Thank you, T. But you know, stuff gets moved. Anyway, she gave me this. So this is nice, right? So we're gonna be putting. It goes down, right? Sucks from the bottom. So you'll see more of that. I just did a video on my favorite mix at 1 minute short, right? On the mix of transmission fluid and gasoline and why I like it. So it's good for that. It's also just good to put gasoline in, or I usually like to put two-stroke, because two-stroke, when I'm starting up these machines that have been sitting forever, right? I want to give them a little extra lubricant, give them a little help. And you can just squirt, right, a little bit in there into the carburetor, and you're good to go. So, I just want to mention. So Brett says, "Loved your Honda video you just did. I demonstrated mine in extremely high grass on my nice. I got to check that out. I haven't been checking out too many videos recently because I've been busy doing stuff and just with the monitor burning out and everything else. And I have such a wide, you know, viewing." I don't know, I get close to 1,000 people I've subscribed to, I think, by now. It's many hundreds. And it's just a lot of different topics. And TJ says, hey, wait, Cliff says, yeah, do vintage restore videos. I'm sure you'll get views. Yeah, I'll get views. Over time, like I have a couple of them, like vintage restore. It is a little harder to come across vintage. And then I have to make the time for them because a lot of times I don't sell those. Right, so you kind of hold on to them, you keep them. So with trying to make money in an economy that's just falling apart, right, this stuff gets even harder to do. And TJ says, hey, John, what about a yard machine snowblower someone is selling for $100? Yeah, $100. If it's got the similar motor, TJ, if it's got, you know, whether it's a Briggs or a Tecumseh, it really doesn't matter. But if it's, and I think I mentioned to you guys and to TJ, I like where we are in New York, anything with at least 8 horsepower, right? Forget about the 5.5 Tecumsehs and whatever. I mean, if you want to fix it and sell it, yeah, go ahead. But the kind of snow that we get that can get wet and just get weird and everything, these smaller engines it just can't cut it. So, yeah, let's get back to what's next here. Let's see what's coming up next. So, let's see here. The swing. Let's do the pan, as they say. What a mess. Right? In the camera world. This one, I couldn't get the motor off. Everything is jammed. However, one of the wheels and there's something... Oh, the handle. Yeah, that stuff wouldn't come apart. Good. Okay, even though this is broken, this bottom part is good. And on this machine, the bottom part is absolutely tweaked and wrecked. It's just all twisted. And there's another one, too, I'm working on now that you just saw earlier on my table. They're just... I let them sit too long. The problem with Hondas is that when you go to take a bolt out of Tecumseh engine that's been sitting like in my yard for a while, Brett says that old Craftsman would work in New York. Yeah, yep. The bolts shear, right? They get jammed into the Briggs motors and they shear. It all takes us one, and I won't fix that. Right? I've tried different ways, and there's no money there, right? You kill yourself. Hondas, I've never had a bolt break, but I just found 2 more today, fooling around. Those included, one of them didn't pass muster. I was working on it, and one I'm working on, the one that's on the table, I think I can fix. That's actually an Ariens that's on the table, an Ariens. It looks like a Husky, which is a Craftsman, which is an MTD, whatever. They won't come out when they're in too long in a Honda. They won't break. They use a better quality bolt. They won't break, but they won't come out. And so I have that air impact, and I put it on low. But what'll happen is that the nuts, or I should say, the head of the bolt is somewhat rounded on the end. And what'll happen is when you blammo it, it'll just eject. It'll just shoot off, right? The whole gun and everything will just jump right off, and you can't get the bolts out. So I don't mess with it. I take whatever I can off of it, whatever will yield, and I throw out the rest. Let's see what else we got here. We'll move forward a little bit. Oh, look at this thing. Here we go.
It's pretty cool. I think we could fix this. It's missing a motor and everything. Does this still spin? Yes, it still spins, even though there's junk in there. So we have to check it, but it needs a motor. I don't know if it spins in the normal clockwise direction or if we have to spin it off of a different shaft. We'll have to get in there and look to see which way the cutters, however we can see the cutters, we have to look at the cutters and see which way the cutter goes. I don't know. I honestly, off the top of my head, I don't know. All right, just ground up everything, screeded it out a little bit, get rid of some of the bumpiness of it.
This is the dead
beautiful
zone.
Soil back here, but it's in the dark. I'm going to start sticking stuff back here now. All right. So this is another look
of the garden.
Of the garden, the lawnmower see. See it? Get it? Lawnmower see? See it? Get it? You guys don't get it. Thing. Getting lousy out. I can hear the wind.
Yeah, definitely.
So I decided to just bring out the electric, which is fine for this, like what we're doing. So that's the Theander, Mr. Lance Lectri. Gave it a quick wash, right? And I got on this side, I got some SuperClean on it. And then I'll flip it, and we'll get some SuperClean on the other side. She's pretty clean now, right? She's getting nice. If I hit this thing hard with a good pressure washer, quick wire wheel, a little bit of primer, and some green paint, she'd be mint. Okay? She'd be mint.
Yeah.
But I think that's beyond the scope. But I'll mention it to him if he wants to in the future.
Yeah, that's why I'm using the electric, because I didn't want to blow all the paint off and everything. Brett says, DJ says he's going to send over a photo and everything of his TV and his blower and the blower he's looking at. And Brett's like, Troy built Tomahawk chipper. That was made by Garden Way. Really? Okay. Note to self, because I'll be getting to that at some point this year for sure. So we're going to be looking into that. And I have motors laying around, so there's got to be something I can come up with. So yeah, I didn't want to blow it off, blow all the paint off. And I thought it'd be a good idea to use the electric. Let's see. Oh, look at these guys. Wait to see these guys. Let me back up a little. There we go.
All right, it's Toro time. Now, these are a little different. We got 4 of them.
Check these out.
One of them, I'll show you in a minute, has got rot in the deck in a bad spot. So one of them's definitely a parts machine. All right, so Briggs, 2 Briggs here. These are like the 21 inchers. They are combinations of personal pace and like a more standard setup. One's set up like a mulcher, which is pretty cool. They're smaller and they're set up differently. They use different wheels. This is an older Tecumseh. It's got a wicked carburetor on it. It's like an extruded aluminum, and look at the fins on that. That was a motor that they ran for a while. It was a pretty neat motor, actually. Carburetors have like a diaphragm gasket in them, and you can see the rot. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. Let me just show you this one here as well. Got the bag. We got 3 bags. And my thinking is we're just going to put them all back in the hidey hole. This is rear drive. And let's see, rear drive. It looks like we got another rear drive. Anyway, this is Briggs. So they're in kind of beat up shape, but I think we might be able to save at least 1, maybe 2. No point in trying to part anything out now. Just hidey hole them away. And we'll make one of them. See, like this one here, the wheel is shot. This is rotted bad here. Let's see if you can see that. Right, that's no good. But like I said, this is the one with the Cummy motor on it.
Really?
You know, it uses a different type of like a combination mulching.
That's the Vector?
Block off area. They have this weird thing down here as an extra brace.
Why didn't they do well, Brett? Brett says they didn't do well. Because I like to read everything. Well, because I like to read everything and so everybody can hear it. But for those that can't often see the chat, because, you know, if you're on a phone, you can't see anything. You can't, let alone read it. Brett says that the Vector engine, they didn't do well. Is it because of the carburetor? First of all, that's like a piece of extruded aluminum, which has got to be expensive. But that diaphragm is hokey. I don't know much about them. I have worked on a couple of them. I do tend to stay away from them. And that motor is on a beat deck, so it may never see the light of day again. It probably will just be parts. But if the carburetor is any good, I don't know, we'll see. I'll see when I get to it. But if you know a bit more about them, let us know.
This is the personal disgrace. Here's one that looks like it's pretty decent. It may wind up with the bag. This one might be... Everything is mostly here, so we may take off that block-off plate, that type of plate. I don't know, we'll see, right? But we do have a few bags, and this is a project we'll just put away for now. And then we'll come back.
They're in nice shape, though, overall. Like, there's
a
couple,
you know, like
there.
Usually, like in the fall, people just want machines with bags. They don't want anything without a bag. So if we're going to try to fix them, that's when we'll go through all of them then. We'll just go through all of them and see what comes of them and take the best stuff. Make one really nice one, and then one whatever if it becomes a second one, and then I guess throw out the rest at that point. Here's another derelict row. So believe it or not, Lawn Boy, including that one, the Toro, but we'll get to that. So the more conventional Lawn Boys. This one's in pretty good shape, and it's got the Tecumseh, so it's one of the older ones. 4-stroke. Rear drive. This one is a weird one, 20-inch deck. Kohler, not a big fan of them. They got too many carburetors. So, but, we'll see. Same scenario. This is Tecumseh. This is 2-stroke Tecumseh. Okay.
Look.
That's a nice one with an extra motor back here. I'll take another look at that in a bit. Don't know if the motor's any good, but whatever.
Or
nowadays, got a little switch on the lid there. You see this? So I like the aluminum decks, similar wheels to what I have on mine, right? With the, grease fitting on them. So this is more of the contractor's commercial variant. I like that. I have bags too. I have a bunch of stuff for Lawn Boys. I try not to keep too much because I'm not into restoring them. This one also commercial. She's pretty borked. So the plan, and of course mine, right? The one that I did last year with the 4-stroker on it, which I'm using to grind up all of this nonsense today and clean up. That's what I use that one for. So what I'm kind of looking for is, like I like this one.
They're yelling at me.
I may have a bag for this one. My thinking is they're all going to go back in the corner. So we'll start off with these. This one here, if you look, I want to show you the handle, right? Like a personal pace. It's the one where you push down, and as you push down, it goes faster and slower, right? So this one has it, and so does this one. So the idea is that when I go to do these, the easiest stuff goes first. Whatever we can take everything apart, look at everything, whatever I can put together and sell. I have a bag for one. I have the mulch plugs. These are the mulch plugs. So these are the ones I kind of do them all together. and what comes of them comes of them, and then I tend to throw out the extra. This is the same thing. Right?
That's a
Notice
Toro.
the configuration. Personal pace, they call it. They don't call it that on the other one, but it's the same damn thing. This one has an aluminum deck. So it is different in that way. It's got the same shaping and everything. Transmission might be okay. It's missing the covers in the back. It's kind of jammed. Missing carburetor. We don't know if the motor's any good. Could be, Bork. It's hard to say what's going to come of this one, right? But I'm going to put them all away for now. And I'll figure out when I want to work on them. And then again, these, I want to clean them up, do an inventory, see what can be made from what I have, and focus on that. Try to get a motor running, try to get the 2 motors running. Obviously that's parts. We just don't know. And then whatever runs, you just kind of have to dig in and see. A lot of times this stuff is parts. I love the shielding that they have on them, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times they're just garbage because they were used so heavy. I like the aluminum decks. This is the deck that I tend to like. This is just a different deck, but it may have value to somebody.
Because people
for
are
the
into
right
this
people,
stuff.
when they're done, they're worth several $100s and more. Don't know what the age is. My guess would be 70s and 80s is when a lot of this. It depends, Will, if there's points in them. We just don't know. I'm not a lawn boy person per se, right? Because they're esoteric now. But this is some cool stuff. We have these are the slightly bigger tires in the front, which is an odd variant. It's similar to the tires that go on the rear in some cases. So, I don't know. We got to look. I think it'll be interesting, and we'll have some fun with them. And then whichever one, I guess, comes back is the one we'll focus on and restore.
Look at
I like
this.
the
This
push
is
bar
cool.
up here. It's kind of neat. That one has it. This one has it. All right. We don't know if they still work. That one goes good. This one's a little. They'll probably die, but we might be able to find the parts for that, or I don't know. I just don't know. But we'll find out soon when I get to these. I'm going to get to them this summer and just start on them. And then this is one that you could probably make run. I threw out a bunch of these last year, a whole bunch, and I wound up with another one.
Yeah, they're
They
more
can be
common.
useful in the same way this one is useful. They got these really nice blades, and they're good for just pulling out as a backup machine and grinding up stuff, so I don't wreck my Honda doing all of this. And then finally, all right, this is a parts machine. I really shouldn't leave it like this, but I'm going to turn it on its side more. But this is probably a little bit newer. The wheels are in nice shape, and they're more of the conventional wheels, so it's probably a little bit newer, but I like the deck, aluminum deck. This one's already been stripped and paint, so, they clean up real nice, and they paint, and they don't rot. So, yeah, let's see what we come up with.
Yeah, so that's a project. At least go through them and see what I have, and maybe start taking stuff apart and getting it out of the weather. And the paint is expensive. Brett says that's an F series on that 2-stroke commercial. Yeah, the turtle top. They're really kind of nice. And he was talking about the Vector. They had a crap ton of issues with the carbs. Plus, they didn't last. All right, that was on the Toros. So what we have is a bunch of Tecumseh engines and stuff to fool around with, and something that I'm going to most likely keep one of these, right? I figure the path of least resistance, whichever one offers up itself to, lends itself to being fixed up and glom parts or whatever, and depending upon what I have left over, we'll see in the future. But I want to try to do this on the cheap, on the budget. It's hard to find paint for it. I was looking the other day, and these little 4.5 ounces. Walmart has it. You can get it online for about, what is it, $16 or something like that. I mean, that's, or $6 or something like it is. I see them as high as $16. That's a ripoff. You can get them for under $10. But you need like 2 cans if you want to do a halfway decent paint job. But like I said, how often are you going to do it? right? You get the thing cleaned up and primed up good, and then you throw some green on it and get everything that you can cleaned up. That's kind of what I did to the one that I use, which has the original 4-stroke engine on it from whenever it was made. They're very useful and they're fun to have, and I think it'd be a fun project. So I'm looking forward to that, and I wouldn't mind having a 2-smoker. I remember these things, they were around a lot. All right, so now we're into just this brace here, and so the plans for this, and see, we've got this cleaned up, so I can get to these tractors because they're coming up next. We got another Toro body, right, complete body, which looks like it's in decent shape. I can fix that up and make it nice. Toros is my, considered to be my specialty mowers. There's a bunch of Toros there, and look, there's another greeny lawn boy, but that's a newer one with the new overhead valve cheesoid motor on it. We want to pull that one out. Why? I don't know.
That could be a cheap one. We'll get all of these Toros out, and we'll put them over in the back. And that'll give me a chance to go through what's here if I don't get to it all today. Oh, look, there's another Honda back here, too. Look, fellas. Oh, that's a nice looking one. I don't remember what was wrong with it, but... That's an interesting one. Can we see that from here? So we'll pull this stuff out next. And this is another one of these newer, craftsy, cheesy overhead valve, but we'll get it going. Here's some of the older guys, right? Oh, look at this one. That's got the Boland's brand on it, and that's one of the newer mowers, right? Those are the real cheapy ones, the ones that you have to pull the bolts out of the wheels in order to get them to adjust. So that's all the cheap stuff. Yeah, here it is. Here, we'll get a closer look. I have a few parts for these. I might want to hold on to that, right? Because I'm the collector. And I don't want to give away everything, right? You don't sell everything. All right, we could kind of see, and I got another one over there too somewhere. So let me pull those out next.
No, I didn't, Bob.
Is that another Honda? That's another.
That was my ex-brother-in-law.
I don't know what that. Oh, I know what that one is. That's the one where the handle is made for really short people, and it's not adjustable, which is crazy. Why would you do something like that? I think I showed that in another one. Right? If somebody's short, that's fine. You make your handle adjustable. Because I can't use it. It hits me in the nuts. Yeah, I think it's back here. It's a rear driver. It's got a Honda on it. I think it's a Poolin. I think it's okay, too. It just needs a little bit of service.
Not really,
we'll
Cliff. Not really.
What's over here? Bodies. These come out real nice. These rear drivers. I don't know. That's a weird China Cat motor on it. Garbage. Right, probably toss it. We'll see. We could probably save it. It's black. It's easy to paint. Another nice body back there. A couple of them. All right, next. These are project machines. Like this one's pretty beat.
Toros. So yeah, Cliff. So Cliff says, looks like you have. So Jungle Bob said, no, this is my brother-in-law, my ex-brother-in-law gave me this a while back. And Cliff says, looks like you have enough to keep you busy for the next 18 months. No, actually. Yeah, some might take me that far, but I'm getting another 10 machines shortly. So a lot of that stuff will go within a month or so, right? Believe it or not. Like a lot of it can, once I got done sorting everything and going through it, and you'll see some of that in a bit, it's a lot of it is just not really that hard. There's a lot of simple machines back there that I want to get rid of that have been sitting around for a while, and the time to get rid of those is now, over the course of the season, because during the season, where I am here, people don't have a lot of money, and a lot of renters want them, and a lot of people that are renting or are rentors or rentees, right? The landlords might pick them up to leave them at a property for a tenant to cut the lawn as part of like some money off, or sometimes the tenants buy them because it's just up to them completely to go find something cheap that they don't care about. So some of that stuff back there is going to go real fast. I was just trying to look through some of the nicer things that I think either are worth some money or that might be neat to put on the channel. And I wanted to see what the hell I had, because some of this stuff has been back there for years. I would get machines in, and that were the quick turnovers, and some of them are on the channel, some of them aren't. I would just kind of go through them and put them for sale, and they would disappear within sometimes hours. So Bob says, I live in Birmingham and go there quite a bit, right? Yeah. Yeah, he was working on some buildings that were over there that they were making. I guess they were beach views or something. Cliff says, next 4 weeks is prime time. Grass is, I know, it's just starting right now, especially up here. It was a little cold today. Let me get to the, these are kind of nice, right? I like these. But
this
these
top
are
isn't
very
bad,
questionable.
but the bottom is pretty beat. I'm going to take a closer look at it and see. I don't think any of these cables work. This one might work a little bit. Yeah, that one works a little bit. So I'm just going to put it to the side, but most likely, right, I have a couple already. That body's okay. I have a couple already that I'm going to be doing a full resto on soon. There's some parts here, but you know, nothing super fancy. I like these though. So this one's a little bit better, but it really needs a repaint, right? So you got to blow them all apart to do that. They sell for good money if you have a bag and everything, which I should. This one here with the
That's
cheesy
the newer
motor on the overhead valve, I have tops and stuff for it. I actually looked at it. It's not really all that bad. It looks worse than it is. It might actually clean up with another clean, and
Yeah.
I'll probably, you know, hit this one. I just did one recently, and if you keep it real simple, there's enough paint to work with. A little touch up and get it out of here. It's really about the same as the other one. It just has the cheesier motor in it, but I have plenty of parts. Right. I don't know if I have the top for it anymore. I might actually have the top that says Toro on it, but it doesn't matter. Just peel the sticker off. And here's another project. I keep a few around. Like I said, I'm going to finish up a project. This one has a good top on it. This has already been cleaned, so the ones that I can take apart and I get the tops, a lot of times these tops don't come off because the bolts here, right, they get rusted in place and you can't get them out. They lose their heads because they sit inside this deep pocket, and the muck just sits and they die, right? So
You can't get them off.
let me put these away because this is, like I said, this is project material. Last look for the day. So a lot of these are going to get parted. That's probably going to get parted. It's that green paint, and I let it go too.
All right, so yeah, I want to just get past that one point. Yeah, so let's see. 4 weeks is prime. Cliff says the next 4 weeks is prime time. Yeah, it is, and like I mentioned, it's just starting. Like it's in between. We're coming into a rainy season, which you know is nice in its own way. It's going to make the grass grow, and it is starting to grow, and we're starting to get buds. And usually Mother's Day, the flowers come out, and my lilacs bloom pretty much every year. TJ asked, what about those riding mowers? Yeah. So I think for this week, the plan is to finish up a whole bunch of lawnmowers, just get them working and get them for sale. I have a pressure washer to work on too. One is already for sale, and I want to try to squeeze in a pressure washer. But what's coming up next is those tractors, particularly the yellow ones. They have the Kohler Courage engines, and they're whacked, right? One of them I had on the channel already. I think I gave a quick shot of it, and Mikey and I started it up, and it was, you can't really hear it good, but it bangs so loud, it's scary. The other one just doesn't run at all. But the bodies, everything is mint. So most likely I'm going to be going through the tractors that are back there, parting them out like I just did with all the other mowers, and doing inventory, putting aside what I think I can fix, and everything else gets parted, and then I'm going to fix them. So the first two, we're going to get rid of the two yellow ones, and then I'm going to look at, there's a black one, and there's another one over there. I think it's a Troy built or whatever it is, a red one, and just try to see. One of the green ones actually works. It doesn't have a deck, so there should be a deck back there for it. We'll put a little paint on it and get it out. That'll clear out pretty quick once I finish them up. They just take a little bit longer to do because they're tractors, you know, so they take a little longer. Let's see. So this, let's see. Let's just get through this.
Who knows if the carburetor's any good? Those wheels are nice.
So
those are usually
this
the
actually
heavy-duty
became
wheels
something
from
almost right away.
From yesteryear. All machines plus some other freaky thing or whatever. Who knows? I don't know anything about these, but
that's that crap motor.
I don't even think I have any of these in stock. Freshened up maybe, but this one's in better shape.
That's a power,
it's got
mate,
the add-on,
whatever.
but it uses a standard Briggs motor. This is a keeper. pull the wheel off, which is an excellent
here's something
shape,
I
so
wanted
that's
to show
why
you
we're
guys.
taking.
Let me back up a little bit.
Was what? All right, let me keep going. We're going to part that one out.
All right, check these out.
All right, so this is the one that I mentioned is for parts. This is a 7.0. It's an overhead cam. It's got a nice primer bowl. This is a better setup, right? It just is a bigger motor. This is their first, one of their first overhead cams, but these overhead valves, I keep saying overhead cam because I think, you know, cars. Overhead valve. This is their first one. I think there's like 2 variants in the very early years. These were made very well. I generally don't restore them, and I want to show you something else. So pull the wheel off, which is in excellent shape, so that's why we're taking this, and we're going to grab that wheel and that whole adjuster assembly for that old guy over there. And I don't think that old guy has this, because pull the clip off, right? I'm going to take the washer, and we want to get the backing plate. But what I want to show you is this is a bushed gear. Okay, and it has a cam in it, and this cam here has got a little spring in it, and it's a clutch, and it's a very nice system. It's overcomplicated. It works great, and I wish I could fix these up and restore them. It's just not worth it to me. There's just not enough time and money. I like these engines. This one's a mess, but they're just not worth it. The regular flatheads do the job for sure, and I got tons of them, and they're easy to deal with. This is much bigger. This had the heavy-duty wheels in the rear. This was a really nice machine. This would have been the real Luxo machine. I pulled the blade. It had a good blade on it, and actually the blade hub came off, which is, you know, rare. It's sad. It's sad, but the wheels are the same, right? These are the deeper, what I call the deeper geared wheels, all right? It's just got a different offset, but it still fits, and it works on the thin gear, the more narrow, I should say, the more narrow gear, same tooth, and the wider ones, some of the older, wider ones as well. I've never had a problem using this. I'm always happy to find them, and good. So now we're going to get some more wheels, and we're going to get the adjuster to that.
So those are really nice machines. The one problem that I was mentioning is actually a couple of problems. The first problem is that I'd have to start collecting the stuff for that, which I don't really want to do. Right, I got enough on my plate. I got enough machines. That's the transmission and the bodies, and they're all harder to find. They stopped doing that after a while. There's a green one that's around the same vintage that I'm referencing. I wound up parting it, but also older. It's just not worth it. It is nice. If you want something like this for yourself, I would recommend it. The bigger motor is very nice. It has a lot of power for what you need. But the other issue is other than stocking all this stuff, that bigger motor is harder to pull. It doesn't have the same compression release system on it. It's a much bigger motor. It's an overhead valve. The way the parts move is different. You're going to be pulling on that. And do you really need it? The standard flathead, in my view, other than ridiculously high grass, which I think most of us probably don't allow that to happen, it's just the flatheads are fine. And I have lots of flatheads, and there's still plenty of flatheads out there. So I'm like, well, you can't keep everything. Like, you can't save them all, you know, is really the motto. Let me move forward.
We need. So let me finish that up. I was thinking about saving it, but
yeah,
this wheel is
it's not the same. This is more standard.
Somebody
but
put
look at the transmission,
blade on. That is not the correct blade. And you could see by the way it's located. It's not located. But the blade looks like it's okay, so I'm going to grab the blade. This is also one of the big motors, but it's a different transmission. And it's slightly different. Okay? It's more of the conventional style. These are really good transmissions. If you're both of those, the other one I showed you and this has got the aluminum housing, and I have rebuilt these. I had one on my channel when I first started, way back ago, and I think I took it off. But if you're looking for something for yourself, fellas, you know, I'm going to part this one out, but this is a good machine for yourself. Yeah. You're looking for an old-timey, I would go with this one or that red one.
Useful.
I like the ratcheting style control there. When you let go of the handle all the way, it ratchets back and everything stops, and then you can pull it back a little bit. There's a lot of control here. This one had a throttle on it.
Just a well-built,
pretty good shape overall, but I just have too much stuff. So I'm going to grab the blade, grab the wheel, throw the rest out. And
it's just a well-built
like I said, I don't really
machine.
like these engines because this one's actually in good shape. They're very powerful, but then I'd have to start. Right? These are like 80s.
Oh wait, whoa. Yeah, they're painting the sky. They like to spray. Yeah, don't even.
So
get
I just
me started
sold a
on that.
machine, and a lot of times what I do is I'll give discounts.
Check this one out.
For old machines, right? Used. This one's made in USA. Remember these? Right? These are like 80s. I think he changed the oil once. I think he just wiped it with a rag. It is really clean. The tires are whopped, right? They're no good. And this one here is all boinky and right. I'm gonna look to see if I have tires. I just pulled off tires. Really nice ones. Exactly these. But it looks to be in good shape. He started it right up. It started right up, no problem. All right, we'll get to this one. Let's see, can we see underneath? Yeah, look at it. The blade is mint. It's leaking oil. See it leaking? Right, the seal is bad. I can see the seal peeking through. He says he was, putting oil in it a lot. But yeah, I can see it. Right in here. Now you can't see it, but the seal, it's coming out. So maybe we'll find another motor to put on it. Did I just throw one out? I might have. But it started right up, which means the carburetor is good. And yeah, I mean, I probably have another seal. We can get them. We have to take the motor apart. At least the bottom, which is not hard. And this one will come right apart. But it's all here, and I'm going to push it to the side, and I'm going to pull the gas out of it. But yeah, let me see. I'll get the stand, and we'll start it. Oh, I can smell it. Yeah, I can kind of smell it. Smell the oil. Yeah, let me take a look. Let's see. We'll start it up. Yeah, what we'll do, here's the one that I pulled aside. So this is the same engine pretty much. So I'll pull this back out. We'll pull the motor off. But it's the same thing.
Yeah, they're definitely bulletproof.
The tins are a little beat. Could have, but probably the motor itself is fine. So we could actually keep it correct. So I'll pull this aside, grab it in a few minutes. Let's go start that machine up. Yeah, I can smell it. I think I had mentioned that usually I just put a thicker weight oil. I smell gear lube. Okay. I smell something in there. All right, so he primed it, and looks like the primer is still functioning, but we're going to get a new primer for it because it looks like it's a little beat. Cable still works.
Look at that.
Works fine, right? So we'll go grab that other motor. I have some of these motors. I don't probably have too many, but yeah,
there's no oil
in it.
It might even blow smoke.
We'll grab a different motor. We pull the fuel out of it. Looks like it's got some fuel in it. Yeah, it's got fuel. Let's pull the fuel. Ooh, it smells stinky. Pull the fuel out of it. Let me go get that other machine.
The fuel is good. There's no dirt in the tank.
I'm not working too much tonight, but I think we'll just do a motor swap or something. I don't know. When we get it cleaned up and everything, and we'll go over it. I have tires. Let's take a look. So these are the tires I was pulling off. This is the same tire. Same as these, basically. A little different tread pattern, slightly different size. But I have 4 of these. I actually have a few more. I can pull those off, too. Same tire. And I have all of the hubcaps too. So we'll put all of these tires on. And yeah, I think we'll probably do this one soon. Since we know the carburetor is good, we have good carburetor. There's probably most of this. I mean, with all the oil all over it, could be leaking from the top seal as well. He said he thinks he never changed the oil. I wouldn't be surprised. But even the bag is beautiful.
Yep,
so,
not a blemish.
And sometimes
just
it's
dirty.
nice when they leak oil because it protects the deck. So I'm still going through the mess today. See, in here I got a whole bunch of those caps and everything. Getting ready to do a wash tomorrow. So I think this will be fun to put on the channel, and just kind of have some fun with it. I don't do too many of these every year, but I always try to pick the best ones when I do them. And people buy them because they love them. Guys my age, our age, we know what these things are. They're decent. So, all right, let me get back to work. All right, see, now this is one where it looks good overall.
These are just
but
standard.
The underneath, this is one of the ones I showed earlier with a lot of spalling, where the flaking of the rust. Hole there and a hole here. And you may not be able to see it, but you could just understand where my point of view is. Look, I collect a lot of these for a reason. And when I start to see an area that's doing that, you could rescue this mower, but I won't, all right? I take it for parts because some of the parts are useful and look past it, right? Why bother fooling around with a deck that's already has little holes in it? They're going to get bigger quick. And then what is the person going to have, right? Now, if it's for you and you want to get a couple more years out of it, that's fine, all right? If that's what you want, make the thing work. There's a lot here to work with. It can be made to be run and be in good shape, and it will last for several more years. But that's not what I sell. All right, so I'm going to take this one apart, and I'll be back in a bit. All right.
That's the motor. Hold on. So let's see. Yeah, it licked right. So those old. All right. Cliff says those old decks were bulletproof. Yo, yeah, they can be, and it's in beautiful shape. Right. You'll see it. I'll show it again in a minute. I couldn't stop fooling around with it. I just needed to do a little bit more to it. Yes, Brad, it licked right off. But it could blow smoke because there's no oil in it, really, right? So we don't really know. I'm going to look into that. And because that deck will outlast a new press deck. Yeah, 100%. And, you know, like I said, a lot of us guys know what that is. I have taken them in on trade like I just did. And I have sold them again, and they sell no problem, especially at the end of the year when people want bags. Now, that will probably be a project where I'll work on it more towards the end of the year, and I'll sell it then because I have so many of these other things to do. Now, I went real quick to that black deck one with the holes in it. Those are, as you guys know, they're a little newer and a little bit more common, and those are the ones that I sell a lot of, right? I go through them nice. They get the bag assist door and all of that. And I try to fix those up. I take the best, you know, and dump the rest. And I grab all the parts that I can. Those are the ones that I generally sell. They're nice. It's good to keep. Not bad to own, but it's the most popular one. You put a nice bag on it. You can get anywhere from 150 to 200, maybe a little bit more. It depends upon the condition, right? If it's really super mint. Coming up, I've got a couple of wheels I got from my vendor that they donated to the project, and so I'll be going over that on one of those coming up real soon. And I'll tell you where I got those wheels from when we do that project. And yeah, in fact, I gotta contact them and let them know there's a little bit of a delay on that project. So let's get to a little bit more towards the end. So this is the motor I dug out of that little push machine that I scrapped, and it doesn't look too bad. The carburetor is no good, so it is a little smaller. On that old green machine, it was 6.25. This is a 6.
This is the parts engine. Now, this engine looks pretty good. I don't see any excessive leaks. Actually, this came off, right, the blade adapter. Looks like to be the same engine. Right, there wasn't really too many differences in these. This is a 6.0. I'll check the other one just to make sure.
6.25.
Well, I think what we'll do is we'll clean these up and we'll bench test and see where our compressions are and everything. We know the other one runs. This one, the carburetor is gooled up, but no, it's jammed. But we know we got a good carb. So I think that's where we really need to be. Probably just use this motor and bolt everything to it. Another thing you could do is, if you really wanted to, is you could crack the case here and pull this out and swap them, right? Rather than, because you really can't replace the seal so easy with the crank in the way. So you're going to be, if you were to fix the other one with a new seal, you'd still have to crack all this apart. And donor engines make that much easier for us. But I say probably, I mean, the oil was just black. It wasn't anything funky. There was no water in it. Right? Just the usual excess, bit of filth from many years of fine service. So I'm going to put this to the side. I think I'm going to just take some of the parts off of that one, right? We'll just liberate some of it so we can get a first cleaning on it. Right, this is the guy over here. Not looking to do that today because I'm too tired, but I'll probably pop the wheels on it that we have and just pop them on quick. And, oh, I forgot to do one more thing. I think we need to pull some slotted, so when you go to
Here we go.
bracket here, like this adjuster backing plate,
So I pop the
it's just
wheels
loose, okay? There's a locator that goes into a slot. It really goes into a hole, and it's now become slotted, so
We
when
got
you
a
go
little
to
bit of
adjust it,
welding
it
to
wobbles
do.
around. This one, I think it's just the main bolt.
Just
in
a
there
tiny
is
little
loose.
drop of weld.
I
Tighten
see
some
some
stuff
cracking here on the ignition. That's a problem. So we'll address that. This says 6.25. It might be a little bigger motor. After we get it all cleaned and everything, we'll pop it off and finish cleaning it. And we'll pop the bottom off. And this way we can get in there and get a peek. And even before we do that, right, we'll check compression and a few other things. But we know it runs, right? We know the carburetor's good. It's starting to look good already, right? I just took off
new sneakers.
this back here to get at it a little bit more. On some of the better models, there was a clip that went down here, right? So you could take all the top off and everything, and you wouldn't lose your dipstick. Don't lose your dipstick.
The way I see it, all synthetic oils are the same.
Oh, think with your dipstick, Jimmy.
Aren't all synthetic oils the same?
Think with your dipstick, Jimmy.
Synthetics or synthetics? Castrol Edge. I'm gonna try this.
Oh, no, that's thinking with your dipstick.
So why did you hit me?
Because you were thinking with your dipstick, Jimmy.
Think with your dipstick. Upgrade to new Castrol Edge with 8 times better wear protection than Mobile 15W30. It's more than just oil. It's liquid engineering.
So that's why we're going to
Remember
leave this
that?
on. When that gets cleaner, we can put, like I did to the other engine, we could put a block off cap in there. That way we can kind of work on it. We'll dump the oil. There is no oil in it, really. That's one thing I don't like, is that he said he never changed the oil because it was always leaking, and he kept adding. So, you know, it could be a dead motor, right? I didn't hear anything knock, but there's like no oil in this thing. So that's a danger. And he
It
never
looks good,
lubricated
though.
or maintained
It's
everything.
gonna be an easy
Literally,
job.
He's wearing it out. But overall, he kind of took good care of it, I suppose, right? You know, at some point, people will just use it. Those tires were absolutely, not just bald, but they were broken. All right, I'm on to the next project. We'll put this aside until I'm ready to clean. All right, end of the day report. It's going to rain, most likely.
All right, so think with your dipstick, Jimmy. Right. So that's, you know, kind of neat stuff. I think that'll be fun. It is easy to do. I may just wind up using that donor motor, but like I mentioned in the video, there is that we'll do compression tests. We'll take everything apart. We'll have everything cleaned up. We'll do a good visual inspection, and then we'll take the bottom off of the leaky one. Maybe we'll take the head off. Who knows? Maybe we'll take the bottom off of the donor motor and put it on the other one. We're going to play around with it and see. 6.25. It might be a slightly bigger piston. You know, it doesn't really matter. I mean, a 6.0 is more than enough for a little push lawnmower. Actually, it's a 22-inch cut. It's actually, and the blade is good. The blade is mint. So it's a 22-inch body, not a 21. So there is that. And I think it is easy to do. Let me see if we can finish up this here. It's getting to the end, so.
Juan is coming tomorrow. Garbage, I'm just going to leave it there.
That's garbage.
And
Yeah,
I
that
think we
thing
should
is
be
in
good to
nice
go.
shape.
We'll pop it open.
I
after
got
clean
wheels.
it,
I found
get
some
in there
bags.
and get it running good. I did start it. I just sprayed some two-stroke in there and gave it a pull and ran it up and squirted some stuff in
It's
there.
a push.
It runs, you know, with that. So carburetor clean and a little bit of work. Pretty much cleaned up here for now. A few things out to be cleaned. A couple things out here to be cleaned. I cleaned up back there a little bit. It doesn't have to be 100% because I'm still going to be moving some stuff around, but it's better. It's not all over the place. All right, we'll get to that at some point. This is all fresh. Right, I've gone through everything that I could possibly get out of it, and you know, at some point, just let it go. Right, this pretty stocked pile over here is all trash, and then at some point we'll be able to neaten this up a little bit as well once this is gone. So Juan is coming tomorrow. Hopefully he comes even in the rain. And then of course this hidey hole area. So we've got everything pretty much stocked away. We've got our lawn boys, our toros, and a few other little things. This is kind of the project corner. This is the stuff that I personally like to work on from time to time, right? And some of these things I sell, and it can be very worthy. We could do a little bit more straightening up in here, but at least this is out of the way and in the hidey area. And then, of course, back there is upcoming projects. Okay, so this will be gone tomorrow. That'll make things look a lot nicer. And these two, I parted out one machine.
Yeah, these are the ones that I like to
Got
sell.
an engine, a few other things. I think these two can be machines on their own. I've got the wheels for one of them. So I think we're good there. Go as I have a chance to hear them today, and we'll take a quick peek tomorrow if it's not raining.
The next morning.
See, nobody believes me, right? There's Juan. He doesn't want to be on, so I got to keep the camera low. Got to respect it. Look at all of this. See, I usually kind of take them apart a little bit more so they lay flatter, but that wasn't. Oh, we got one down here. I got something to throw out. Yeah, let's put that down deeper. And there's one more coming. I think he's got one more thing to drag. No, I think that's it. Yeah, and we'll go look in the back. It fills up. How big is this trailer, Juan?
812?
Yeah. Wow. A 12-foot trailer. Nice.
I just about filled it.
Juan's gone.
I
think
it
that's
looks
a nice
better.
cleanup. For now, at least. That's stage one, really. Spring cleaning. Everything's gone through, so I have a pretty good idea what's here. That's it. All right, fellas. I'm going in. It's crap today. I told you it was going to rain. It's going to be at least it's not pouring, right? So it's just lousy.
So that's it, right? I think I did good. I spent on and off. It took me like a couple of weeks or so to get through all of that, on and off, doing some stuff here and there and going through it. But now I know what I have, and when I get more in, I'll clean. I'm going to be cleaning up a little more because I got to cut the lawn. Right now, I actually got to cut the lawn. I would do it tomorrow, but it's holiday, so and you know what? I could use the day off anyway. I mean, I work long. I put a good day in today, and I took a couple of days off during the week because I was exhausted. I've been kind of working on this and then working on stuff in here and then fixing broken stuff, and so I've been keeping real busy. And again, now I know what I have, and it's all segregated. Which, you know, is I get all the stuff that I know is like more project oriented in the hidey hole, and a lot of what you see out, a lot of that is going to be gone in the next couple of weeks. A lot of it will be for sale. I'll go through a lot of that stuff, especially the push, because the push, it's a cable, it's a cleaning, it's a lubrication, you know, carburetor clean, whatever, delousing, and there's no transmission to go through anything. So I give myself a couple of hours to kind of go through those, you know, 2 hours, whatever. I'll try to do like 2 a day, and it takes me longer to clean them. So I set up in the yard and I go through a whole bunch of machines. I clean them all up. I try to bring them in because this is the rainy season. And if I leave anything out, it's a problem. Because I'm on the island, so this time of year, you can leave it on the grass when the grass starts to grow, but anywhere where there's any dirt at all, anywhere, what you get is sand and black silt. It kicks up all over the machine because it will rain really hard, and then it will splash up and go all over the machine. So even if it's your own, like if you just clean something and you leave it there, one good rain and it's a mess, and that stuff is in everything. So Cliff is going. Happy Easter, and I'll catch you next time. And I'm ready to go too. So it's been a while. We've been up for a while. I don't even know how long I've been on. It says it somewhere here, but no, I can't see anything. I'm getting tired. So I had some fun, and it was good seeing you guys, and enjoy the holidays. And thanks everybody for commenting and coming to the live streaming, and all you subscribers out there, and like button hitters and all that stuff. We're getting real close to 900,000 views. That's getting real close to 1 million. I'm over 825, so I'm like 830,000. And maybe tonight, I don't know, we'll see. I'm at like 4,000 subscribers, so the channel's getting there. And I know I've been working real hard on it and trying to figure out how to do this YouTube thing. But either way, I will see you guys on the next one. me see if I can do an outro. Let's see. Does I still have it? Let's see.